Does your first Horde in 7 days have you sweating? I'm upgrading the classic starter base to dominate the new mechanics. Simple, effective, and perfect for any survivor. How you doing? I'm Rebel, and welcome back to 7 Days 2.0. Today's video is all about giving the OG first Horde base an improvement for the latest update. We're making small, smart tweaks that pack a punch, keeping it super beginner friendly so anybody can build it and survive. Let's jump in and make these zombies regret showing up. Alright, so we got our building blocks, and we're going to start off with a 3x3 structure. That's going to be our fighting position, our structure. So we start off with 3x3 platform, and we want to make it too high so that the zombies can't get to us. And before you go too in depth, you have to remember that everything we build, the outside walls and the inside walls, should be upgraded to, at the very minimum, cobblestone. Alright, so this whole bottom foundation here should be upgraded to cobblestone. If you don't have cobblestone to do every single block, you don't need to, just do the corners. But as time progresses and as you get further and further into 7 days, if you want to expand on this base, make the whole bottom structure cobblestone. There we go. Got the whole thing made out of cobblestone now. And use some building blocks to get up. Oh, I missed a block. That's a pretty important one too. And then from there, you're going to want to build up. There's 4 elevation, and we still need to go up 1 more. Alright, so we got 5 blocks high, and the bottom 2 structures and the outside structures is all going to be cobblestone. Again, if you don't have enough cobblestone to do the entire foundation in cobblestone, that's fine. Just do the corners. So, like, where the pillars are at on the outside, that's where you're going to want to start with your cobblestone. Just all the way down, though. And then once you get to that level, you're going to want to put a floor on it so that you have a spot to stand. And then, once you have your floor built, reinforce the entire thing up to cobblestone. So, if you don't have the cobblestone, the outside pillars, the very outside corners of the base should be cobblestone, and your floor. Pretty easy to make, pretty basic. It is literally 42 blocks right now. That's all we've used, just 42 blocks. And I'm building this base with expansion in mind, so you don't have to build it this tall, and you don't have to use this much cobblestone. But eventually, you're going to have to expand to grow, because the hordes are going to get harder and harder as you progress throughout the game. So I'm trying to keep in mind that expansion is kind of key in building this base. So from your fighting position, you're going to want to change the shape over to the pull side centered, and then advanced rotate it. You do all of this by hitting R, holding down R on the keyboard. And you're going to want to go out 3 blocks. So to change shapes, you hold R, go up to shapes, pick whatever shape you want. We're going to go back to the cube and put it there. Just going to hold. Ugh, that's close. Once you get that, you want the bottom 2 pillars to be reinforced to cobblestone. And we're just going to upgrade the next 2 blocks, or the rest of the blocks, up to wood, except for the top blocks, but we'll reinforce those later. And you shouldn't have any issues whatsoever with plague spitters or frost claws or cops right off the bat in the first Horde Night. You should also not have a problem with dire wolves, demos, or birds. But again, I'm trying to keep in mind expansion of this, and if you want to get prepared for a late game Horde Night, this base is a good starter base to do it. It won't get you through every single Horde Night unless you expand and upgrade. Switching over the pull side centered, we're going to go off to the side about 4 blocks, and the reason we're putting this turn in here is because all of the projectile based zombies, they're all currently working on line of sight from my experience. And so if we make a turn into this base, oh, that's not right. That's gonna be a problem. I gotta get that block back. Thank you. So the reason for the turn of their pathway is solely so that they can't see you as they're coming up. So let's say you built the stairway right here. Let me just build a quick stairway really quick. All right, so let's say that the side pathway and that pillar isn't there. If the zombies have a stairway right to get to you, from right here, they can see you because your fighting position is going to be right there, right in the front. So if I'm a zombie and I'm walking up the stairs, right there, you can see my character. But if I am a zombie and I'm over on this pathway, they can't see me. So essentially, the projectile-based zombies aren't going to be able to attack you from the sides because they still can't see you until they reach... Let me see if I can line this up. Probably about right here. So you have a good line of sight on them before they have a line of sight on you. That's the idea anyway. All right, let's get rid of these stairs so that we don't accidentally upgrade them and try to use them as part of our base. And now we can upgrade all of, well, the bottom 2 layers to cobblestone. Wood's fairly easy to come by. You just chop down trees, and cobblestone's a little bit harder to come by. Still not impossible. You dig. So you bust out the shovel, and you just start digging into the ground. You collect clay and rocks. So you get rocks and clay, and you go over to clay, click recipes, cobblestone rocks, craft. There you go. You got cobblestone rocks now. All right, from here, we're going to want to do the exact same thing, but heading back towards the back of our base. And the reason we go off to the back of our base is because the less the zombies can actually see you, the better. And the more turns the zombies have, the more chance they have of actually falling off of your pathway. All right, so we have their pathway started, we have our bunker started, and we have now their stairs started. I use the normal blocks because what I like doing is I like giving them more than one stairway just as an emergency default. So from there, we're going to take the regular cubes, switch them over to the ramp pieces, and then we're going to advance rotate them to make our first pathway slightly bigger, like that. Then upgrade those wedge pieces and the blocks after it. All right, the reason you're doing this 3 wide, so we have a 3 wide pathway into a couple pull side centers into the foundation. So the zombies don't do well with turns, so this will actually help them fall off your base. This 3 wide pathway, the whole purpose of the 3 wide pathway is so that the zombies fight to get into this position and fall off. So essentially, I'm just trying to limit the amount of zombies that can come and attack you at one time. We gotta build this up just so that our base doesn't collapse. There we go. And when you're upgrading, I know I haven't been doing it, but when you're upgrading, you typically want to upgrade from the bottom up. Because if you upgrade this block and the weight of the blocks aren't strong enough to support the pillar, then the whole thing will come crashing down. Switch over to the stairs, and we're gonna go 3 wide on the stairs. Switch back over the blocks. 3 wide. And you're gonna do this all the way down. And don't wait for the game to tell you that your base isn't stable with the changing colors of the blocks. So if you're new, once the blocks reach a certain level of stability, they start turning a little bit yellow. See how it's yellow? And then pink. Once it's pink, you put this block down and the whole thing's coming down. Don't do that. Go ahead and add a couple pillars in every now and then just to add support to the base. And then you have to make sure that if you're going to be covering up those pillars, you have to reinforce those. So like here, gonna have to reinforce these to wood. That wasn't the right one. That's all right though. There we go. And now I can replace that one. And you also don't have to go 3 wide. This could be a 1 wide path. But keeping expansion in mind, I never like giving the zombies just 1 stairway, because if they destroy that stairway, that's their pathway, and then they're just going to start beating away at the foundation. So I always try to give them a minimum of a 3 wide stairway. And then on the corners of your stairways, you're going to want to take your stairs, switch over to the stairs filled corner, and round out your edges just so that the zombies have an easier pathway in. And if you are worried about aesthetics, making it look nice, you can take these wedge pieces and turn them on the side just gives it a nicer incline look rather than having essentially the blocky look. It's not necessary. That is literally just an aesthetic reason. I actually don't think that this adds anything to the structural stability other than the zombies seeing it as one more block that they have to break in order to take down the foundation. But it does look a lot nicer, I'll give you that. Then from there, we need to remember to keep going with our 2 block on the bottom, the 2 block pillar. Everything that's 2 blocks has to be reinforced to cobblestone. Otherwise, the zombies will see that as a weak path and just start destroying that rather than trying to get to your fighting position. That's pretty much the entirety of the base. You have their pathway in, a pathway for them to walk. Now you just need to worry about your fighting position. And everything with the fighting position is pretty much personal preference. What you see, what your fighting style works for you. So it doesn't necessarily have to use, you don't necessarily have to use the scaffolding ladders. I suggest it, but you don't have to. What I like doing is putting blocks, the wedge blocks, like this, because that will actually give you a double layer. Advanced rotate the scaffolding ladders to be in the position that I like them to be in, which is, that'll make them climb. Don't want to do that. This way. That way, yeah. So if the zombies, see how I can climb on the scaffolding ladders? If you put this to where it is on the outside, they'll be able to climb and get on top of your base. But if you put it on the inside of your base, they can't climb up. So once you have that built, you can take any other type of barrier you like. Some people like using the catwalk V1 rail only. It's what I suggest. Some people like using the pole doubles combined with the pole double tops. To keep things simple for this base, we are literally just going to use the catwalk V1 rail only on the outside, and then we're going to use the scaffolding ladder rotated in the direction that I prefer it, which is like that on the inside. This is giving you a double layer, so if the zombies do come in and try to beat away at the foundation of your base, they're not going to be able to get to you even through getting through one of your barriers. And then from the side of your base, I typically build out 1 block over the edge of the base using an inverted ramp. That'll actually give you a little bit more room to fight, and it'll keep maintaining the stability strong enough to where it won't just collapse. You do that on both sides. That, and then the ramp inverted in the proper orientation. There we go. And then we can switch back over to the blocks. And then we're going to do the same exact thing on the back side. Here. Ramp inverted. And again, if you are somebody that worries about aesthetic reasons, switch over to the ramp outside corner fulls, and you can line it up so that the outside of your base is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. All right, let me get up there. We got some reinforcing to do. So there's 3 blocks of this pole side centered. 1, 2, 3, 4 on that one, and then 1, 2, another 3 on this one. All right, we got that taken care of, and now we just need to build out our back. I typically never make my bases to where my roof is over my head. I like having some jump distance. It's not necessary if you're short of resources. Just build the roof over your head. But me personally, I don't like it to where when I jump, I can't go anywhere. If I want to dodge something, I can't. When I build bases, I go that high, and that keeps my jump distance. It gives me a little jump distance in comparison to none. It's still not a lot, but it works out pretty decent. So there's my jump. It's a lot better. All right, cap off the front of your base and then reinforce that too. And again, this doesn't all just have to be one solid cube-looking block. It's just the basic, most easiest shape to work with. All right, looks like we have a Horde Base. It's still not done, but we have a Horde Base. So from the front of the base, I always put the wedge blocks in to keep them from jumping, and then cap that off with regular cube blocks. Reinforce that. And if you're going for aesthetics, I guess you could put in the corner blocks. This would be wedge blocks. My brain working right? Yeah, wedge blocks. And the reason for that is because when the zombies do jump, they're gonna push against that wedge and it'll knock them back. Hopefully knocking them over. So if you jump, see how I get pushed back? It's not much, but it's enough to knock into other zombies, possibly knocking them over. And then we can't forget about a way into our base. And you can use scaffolding ladders for this. I don't typically. I usually just go with any of the other ladders that there are. Again, personal preference. A lot of base building is creativity and personal preference. So it's what do you enjoy? What do you like it to look like? And you keep your ladder 2 blocks off the ground. That way zombies can't reach you from the ladder. And see, I'm getting hung up a little bit right there. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is build... I'm going to put this 3 off the ground and then build up just a small little ramp that I'm going to be able to get to that the zombies can't. And then we're going to upgrade this to wood just in case the zombies do decide to see this as something to break. You don't want them to break down your way into the base. Just in case the base does crumble, or in case you do need to exit your base at some point, you still want to always have a way into your base that is separate from the zombies' pathway in. Got that reinforced. Now I have an easy way into the base. Zombies can't get in. And then just to give yourself a little bit more protection, I crafted the double door. I didn't want the double door. I want the regular door. We're going to put in a doorway too. There we go. Now the zombies should never see this as a pathway to get into your base. There is one other thing that I would do in building a beginner base, and that is on one pathway of the stairs, doesn't have to be all of them, one pathway of the stairs, reinforce it to cobblestone. Or higher. If you have higher, reinforce it higher. But always do one pathway of the stairs reinforced to cobblestone, and this will help just maintaining the zombie pathway. So if they destroy a side of the stairs, they still have 3 other pathways to get to you. Let's set time so we can see again. There we go, morning time. All right, so now we have one full pathway that the zombies can take to actually navigate to get to the front of your base. And my suggestion with the front of your base is at least 3 blocks wide of reinforcement. So reinforce this, there we go. 3 blocks wide of reinforcement on the face of the base. All right, so we have both of our barriers upgraded to cobblestone. We have their pathway upgraded to cobblestone. And our foundation here is basically just wood. Normally, I like putting in windows here, but the problem with putting in windows, if you could see them, they could see you, and if they could see you, they can throw stuff at you. Spit at you, shoot bees at you, whatever you want. Whatever projectile they want to do, they can. So just to test this out, we're going to take a couple Feral Arlenes, take 2 of them, get their attention. Some think I had their attention before they came up. So they're walking their way over, hopefully. Yep. And say goodbye. And just to test, we're going to take the club. You can hit her through both of these pathways with the club. I don't think she liked it very much, but you can do it. And now if you are a little bit later in the game and you do want to upgrade, I would suggest upgrading all of this to concrete, this whole wall to cobblestone or concrete, and then you can actually expand further by putting a whole nother pull side center. I'm not going to do it on this base, but just to show you what I mean, take the pull side centered, advanced rotate it, build a whole nother pathway off this side that replicates this one. So essentially you're giving the zombies even more stairways, even more pathways to try to get to you. But I would make sure that you keep this way clear. And as you progress through the days, you are going to have to reinforce these past wood, past cobble, probably past concrete, because they will get angry and start beating away at the foundation, especially if they go into destroy everything mode. And so to keep them from going into destroy everything mode, this area from here, all of this needs to be dug out. So all of these building blocks, there should be a big ditch that goes down from this position down. Should be a 15 block fall. That is a lot of digging. So you're going to be able to get a lot of cobblestone, a lot of concrete, a lot of rocks, a lot of clay out of that one pathway. And once you have that zombie pit dug, you also need to give them a way back out of the pit. Otherwise, they'll just start beating away at the dirt and rocks under the base, eventually collapsing your base. Don't want that. But I think for a day 7 horde, this is it. This is all you really need. You should be good. And keeping expansion in mind, you could... I'm not going to do it in this build because you're not going to have one by day 7, but switch over to the half cubes and put a Robo Sledge right here that will cause, when the zombies run up, Robo Sledge will hit them into the zombie pit. But because the likelihood of you having a Robo Sledge day 7 is not very high, we're not going to do it. One thing I am going to do that we normally wouldn't have on day 7 is throw in a couple lanterns just so that we have some light. And because vultures aren't really a thing on day 7, you're not going to need this for the first night, but eventually you are going to want to put spikes up on your roof. And that'll keep the vultures, when they swoop in to try to get you, they'll just kill themselves on the wood spikes. And then your remaining wood spikes, because you don't have a zombie pit yet, I would put them in between their pathway from where they're gonna fall and the stairs. I wouldn't completely encase them around, and it wouldn't hurt to also put them around the base of where they're gonna fall. And that'll protect your base just a little bit more if zombies do decide to run up and try to attack the basic foundation of the base. So a lot of people will build like 100 spikes and build it all around their pathway and all along their stairway and all along this area here. Sometimes spikes are weird. Sometimes they break the zombie's pathway, and if spikes are in the way, they don't see that as an actual pathway. So I try to keep the spikes minimal, but at the same time enough to be effective. And then I also typically keep a bunch of spikes on me. If I do get overwhelmed, I can throw some spikes on their pathway right in front of me. That also gives me a chance if I have to reload or if I have to just recoup some stamina, that'll actually give me an opportunity to do that. All right, so we used a total of 251 blocks, 1,200 cobblestone, and just under 2,000 wood. And I made some mistakes with placing blocks that I accidentally erased, accidentally deleted. I made this double wood door that I didn't need the block, so it's just under 2,000 wood that we needed. So it's nothing unmanageable that you can't do by your first Horde Night. We are gonna need wood to be able to repair mid-horde. We're gonna need our axe to repair mid-horde. Don't think we're gonna need the blocks, but just in case, we're gonna hold on to them. And prior to Horde Night, we're gonna change them into the wood cubes, because the wood cubes are actually the most versatile building in the game. If you need to build up, you can build a stairway up. You need to build a box, you can build a box. So we're just gonna leave that at wood cubes. We got our wood spikes that we're gonna put in our number 8 spot. We're gonna give ourselves a pipe 3 pistol and a pipe shotgun. All right, so that's gonna be our loadout for Horde Night. We have a level 3 everything: stone axe, stone spear, wooden club, pipe pistol, pipe shotgun, and pipe machine gun. All of that stuff is manageable by day 7. We got 12 wood spikes, 5 first aid bandages, 2 red teas, 2 dog foods, some wood, some cobblestone, some blocks, and very, very minimal ammo. And that's pretty much it. Let's bring in the Horde. All right, let's set time Day 7, 2158. Welcome to the revamped 2.0 beginner Horde Base. Got some zombies moving in. Game stage level 27, right around the spot where you would be for a beginner. Hey, he just phased right through. That's rare. Sir. So what we're basically gonna do is just continue to melee until we're out of stamina, which we are. I didn't have my pistol reloaded. Make sure your pistols are reloaded. Get rid of these guys. And you want to make sure you maintain your repairs the entire time. You have to keep up with your repairs, otherwise they break through. This guy just naturally phased through like the zombies tend to do sometimes. But once you keep up with your repairs, you should be golden. Out of stamina. Get rid of these guys, and they're starting to build up on me a little bit more than I'd like. I can't place. Nothing was reloaded. Let's get rid of some of these guys. Bye. I was trying to throw a wood spike down. There we go. Wood spike, wood spike, wood spike. There we go. Got a wood spike to buy us a little bit more time. I don't have any 7.62 ammo. We got our reload off. Our stamina is almost full, so we're gonna switch back over to the spear, see if we can knock that out real quick. Let's get our reload off first, though. I can't stand not having weapons reloaded when I switch, because if I need it later on and I don't have it, it's a problem. Let's reload and then switch over. Alright, got the reload off. Going back to melee. Welcome to the Horde Base. Time to check for repairs. Doing good. Switch back over. I just heard a wood spike break down underneath me, which is fine because that's kind of what they're designed to do. Your participation is appreciated. Bye. Sir, you don't have a ticket. You need a ticket to ride this ride. Stamina's fighting stamina this entire time. Let's switch back over to the pistol. Clear some of these guys out a little bit. Come on. Reload, reload, reload. Alright, we got time. We're gonna put in a wood spike just to give us a little bit more leeway time, make sure everything's reloaded. We're gonna use our can of dog food just to help us out with our health. And we're ready back in the fight. Arlene, have a nice fall. And if you notice, I'm not aiming down sights. I'm doing that intentionally because when you aim down sights, your stamina actually drains. So we're trying to do everything we can to limit the amount of stamina we're using. How you guys doing? Welcome. As soon as they come up and hit the spikes, I have another minute before I have to worry about them. See? Hit the spikes and fall. I haven't checked my repairs in a while. Maybe we should do that. As soon as we get this wave of zombies out of here. Ah, he got through. He didn't get me, though. Sir. Gotcha. Repair this. And repair that. Back to full health. Nice try, guys. You just want to go away for me? You're not going to help anybody. Bye. Arlene, party girl. Missed all of those shots. Alright, just kind of let my stamina rebuild up a little bit. Go back to melee. Easy peasy. The problem is they are going into destroy everything mode because there is no pit down there, and so they are doing damage to the foundation of my base, but because the entire bottom half, the entire bottom two 2 rows is all cobblestone, I'm not too worried about them actually getting all the way through for a first Horde Night. At least that's what I assume. I think they're doing that. I don't know for sure. I hear them beating away at something down there. I don't see them beating away at anything, but I'm sure they are. Zombies are wily, man. Spikes in the roof haven't been used yet. Uh-oh. That's not good. No, no, no. We go this way. Take the path you're supposed to take, zombies. And typically, most Horde Nights end a little bit early. And if I had to guess, I would assume that this one's ending early because... The first one, anyway. The first one always typically ends early. I could only hear 1 zombie. So, looking at the damage report, looks like everything is still good. Everything's still standing. Nothing looks like it's horribly damaged. Except for that. That's not good. I don't know how they broke that block. I hear a pig. Hey, piggy. Let's take a look. None of that. Pillar's damaged. This one just a little tiny bit. Wood block there. Nothing crazy. And there you have it, the revamped first Horde base that's simple, effective, and ready to handle anything that 7 days can throw at you. This build should last you a few Horde Nights without any upgrades, but there's still plenty of areas for you to grow, improve, and expand. I hope I did a better job explaining the build process and that this step-by-step guide made it a breeze for the beginners out there. If you found this helpful, you already know the rest of the deal. Like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace, I'm out of here.